Oh, baby, the big one. It's time. We have reached the end of Evangelion, but not technically the end of Evangelion, but also technically the end of Evangelion. Again, for the second time, but as a conclusion to an entirety of a series and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else for us to say. We diverged a lot from the last one. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of problems with it, but at the same time, it was enjoyable because it was new stuff. And I guess I'm just interested to see what happens. Fourth impact stopped temporarily. Where we're going to head, what's going to happen, how everything's going to be concluded, I have no idea. We have 2.5 hours of this shit, and I do not do well. I do not do well for long things, so this is going to absolutely drain me. If there's like multiple weird cuts throughout this, it's because I got up and took a break. I can't do it. It's too long. It's too long, but we're gonna sit here and hopefully we can. I've been dreading it all day. I dread movies in general, so it has nothing to do with this series. But 2.5 is crazy, so I have no idea. Hopefully it's fun, though. Hopefully we all enjoy. Hopefully I enjoy. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe to me. Let's make feel free to stick around for the discussion. Leave any comments about this episode or series. Discussion's going to be short as well. I'm just saying, there's no way I'm watching this for 2.5 hours and having a full-length proper discussion. There's just no way we're doing that. Anyways, let's go. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. The fucking scale of that is crazy. Oh my lord. This is really big too, because this is first time we're really expanding to another country. I know we did picking up Asuka, but that like kind of doesn't count because it's entirely different. So use of Mari here. Can we get some example or explanations on her still? I'm still waiting. The gripper shoes. Since what? 16 since the 4th, or 16 since the 4th that didn't happen, or 16 since the 3rd? It's significantly further from the previous, though, so whether it's 2 or 16 years from it, you can immediately see it here. Oh my. That's really fun. You'll get used to it. Just like the fucking boats and everything, the ships just spinning like that is crazy. They're noiseless. I love how she makes her own effects. He was like, alright, let me lock the fuck in. Extremely fun. Badass. For the way they're just marching. Oh my lord, the effects. No! No! How can you do that? Oh, aren't you fucking cool? The way it like wiggles back and forth. She's just running with it. They're doing a good job, I think, at capturing scale so far. Oh, the way it's twisting. Rest easy, Paris. Bringing it back. Shit really was just fucking lurking in the grounds. It's like that ancient technology. The city of cities. We create the walls. A new unit too. What we were trying to do before. Still just adventuring through the streets. Person? A being? Hi, Toji. Yeah. I recognized you. You actually changed. I never got the sense that you were very bright and able to do all this, but I guess through your sister's issues and you wanting to change and stuff and be who you ended up becoming would make a lot of sense, actually. Used as a strong motivation. I mean, it's been probably how long? Wow. All 1,000 remaining people. Where's Asuka in all of this? I mean, naturally in these conditions, yeah. Who's the guy? Not forced into it. Her voice feels so much more clear here, which makes it unsettling. I don't think I will be. I'm gonna be the class rep. Oh, we got a little kid. I'm different. No. She doesn't really know anything. A lot of the stuff was not in orders that she ever followed. And also, this version didn't read or anything, so... Do not let that child touch them dirty-ass gloves. The boy! It's too late. Too late. Kids already going. So who cares? Never even been told. I'm glad being able to bring everybody back in a certain way here. The difficult things brings them closer. It's an insane thing, though, to try and have that kind of outlook after something so, like, fucking awful happened. I'll make note of it now just because I don't want to say it over and over, but the quality of everything's it's fucking unreal.
DSS チョーカーにだけ反応ありか。まあ、食べないし、自分から何もできない。よほど辛いことがあったんだろう。そんなのいつものこと。
Unless you can recognize that.
心を閉じて誰も見ない。こいつの常套手段でしょ。ほっときゃいいのよ。どうせ行きたくもないけど、死にたくもないってだけなんだから。イカリ、今はそれでいい。こうして再会したのも何かの縁だ。好きなだけ頼ってくれ。
What a guy. What a guy. What a guy.
おやすみって何？そうね。
So they got 2 kids now. My mind immediately goes to like hour or so of build up of peaceful town. Shit goes really bad, and then I don't know what happens, but that's like kind of where my mind goes. That's all she owns. Just kind of do things, and then people put a label on it, but I don't really think. She's sweating out of her gloves. To think, these are the hands she was putting in that child's mouth. Think about that. We'll get used to it. This is a really good way of showcasing a version of Rei learning for the first time, like everything. Similar almost to all the things that she was learning before. How strange. How strange. Dirty ass gloves again. Touching everybody with it. Come on, Ray. Somebody teach her that. I mean, yeah. I get her. I get where she's coming from. I get what she's putting on him. I get what she's saying. I get why she's acting the way she is. It's just something when you see somebody like so like broken and going through a lot of like these traumatic things and everything, especially just handling it the way he is, because she is as well, right? And there's no like, let's ignore that and act like that's not the case. And this is how she's coping with a lot of it too. It's just when you see someone broken in the state that he's in and the way he's acting, that makes you just kind of be like, Maybe we shouldn't. Like, maybe we shouldn't handle it the way you are. I don't know. Huh? Are they just normal ones? Say that's not the boy. At the same time, you just don't want him to die in general, so you're kind of doing it for yourself. You can be a Rey that's not Rey, or you can just make a new one. Whatever you say, don't pick the name Yui. That's all I'm asking. I'll learn to read. Like the other one. Yeah. The other may like these. There you go. Applying it. Hmm.
人の認知行動に合わせてデザインされているだけ。あんたたちアニメシリーズは第三の少年に好意を持つように調整されてる。今の感情は最初からネルフに仕組まれたものよ。そう。でもいい。良かったと感じるから。そう。なら勝手にすれば。あんたの好意対象者はネルフ第二支部 N。
I love how she phrases it like it's a mission. And she did grab it. I did not want her to. He's literally eating his tears. She's really taking a liking to the cats. Is that gonna have some sort of thing to do with the name that she chooses? Each time you come back, though, I bet that little batch of food is gone. I love Rey being the only one who's like actively like doing things and working to rebuild here. Which naturally I get, you know, you took everything. What gives me the right to rebuild and do all that? Let me just distance myself. Let me not be like everybody else. Let me not act like I have a future, things I can do, because my hands just destroy you. Oh, you got up. Let him go out into the wild. Learn. Explore. Find the peaceful things. The joys and pleasures within life. That don't involve fighting. Don't keep yapping, buddy. Let's go. One per week? Mmm. Sure. I really love the idea too of just like, it might be an awful thing, you know, you might be going through a lot of shit, but then you have this thing once a year at least that you kind of look forward to, and it's always something that keeps you driving forward, you know, wanting to continue for another day. It's part of the rules. I need a name. She's not. I actually don't have a clue as to what he's gonna pick. Lifeless. For your own good, for your own future.
医者なんて立派なもんやない。医者の真似事、独学の人助け。クレディトの用意してくれた診療設備があるからなんとかなっとる。
当時は立派だよ。人を助けてるんだから。
助けられん命もある。その時の悲しみや怒りを引き受けるのも医者の役目と思うて続けとるんや。自分のやらかしたことには落とし前っちゅうか、けじめをつけたい。
And the first step to doing that is moving forward and rebuilding.
十分みんなのために叩こうた。これからはここでわしらと一緒に生きたらええ。わしはそう思うで。
And if you can give back life, if you can grow some things, if you can, you know, keep life, if you can help people, do anything in the process, that's a full flip in comparison to what you were doing before.
まるで思わなかったな。こんなことならちゃんと話をして酒でも飲んで愚痴の一つも聞いときゃよかったよ。お前の親父は生きてるだろ。無駄と思っても一度は会ってきちんと話せよ。後悔するぞ。しかし親子だ。縁は残る。
I mean, sure, but they've like never had them in their life, so I don't really know what ties we're even talking about. Nice. W Ray, W Ray. No, 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 no. The fucking trauma that's gonna go through everybody the moment they see her. It's a pretty cool fucking spot. He's like, your name's what?
美里さんと梶さんの子供だよ。
Huh?
14歳になる。本人は両親のことを知る。
Okay.
美里さんの希望だ。母親らしいことは何もできないから、一生会わずに、ただビレの責任者として。
Yeah, honestly, especially with where the world's at, I get it. Kaji's been going for multiple movies.
サードインパクトを止めるのに誰かが犠牲になるしかなかった。梶さんはそれを選んだし。
It's a fucking dope spot. It's way cooler than the mountains he sits on. And now he relates to the farming all the way back. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's why the glove's always on. Yeah. I get it. She go to the same spot. How the roles have reversed.
ありがとう。名前考えてくれて。それだけで嬉しい。ここじゃ生きられない。けど、ここが好き。
綾波？
好きって分かった。嬉しい。
綾波、どうしたの？
Uh-oh.
稲刈り、やってみたかった。
Jesus.
好きな人とずっと一緒にいたかった。さよなら。
We get the little rainbow effect coming off of it.
僕も行くよ。
そう。じゃあこれ規則だから。
These are the rules. No fucking around like the last time, buddy.
さくらさん。
And look what you fucking did. I'm with you. I'm with you. Might as well be.
DSS チョーカーは未装着で問題ありません。
Why not?
全作戦の終了時まで対爆隔離室において保護します。
Okay. So we essentially have control regardless.
お兄ちゃんから？
She has no clue. Her communications.
なんであの疫病神も一緒なんですか？
放置してまたネルフに利用されるよりはマシだろう。
エヴァ登場画策士には総員に無条件発砲許可が出てます。今度は安心じゃないですか。
そんなの言うだけ番長でしょ。前に脱走した時艦長は処分できなかったし、今やそのシーン
We had the chance and we just
躊躇も理解します。その子供
child
私の家族皆殺しにしたんだけど、身内に甘すぎ。誰のおしっこかもわからないこの再生水と同じ。清めれば済むか。おかえり姫。道中ご苦労様。ベリー会いたかったよ。もう何よこの部屋。断捨離どころか本増えてるじゃない。
There's nothing else to do.
人の英知の集合体。
Knowledge.
を読み漁るのが私の叶わぬ夢よ。By the way、ワンコ君との進捗どうだったん？別に興味ない。ほう、年頃の男の子は眼中にないと。ガキに必要なのは恋人じゃない、母親よ。
He's a lot of stuff. I also like her playing the game as like almost her distraction of closing herself off, similar to his method of utilizing the headphones and stuff. Something happened with her, and we keep framing her face completely out of it. No, she's fine.
半永久稼働可能な無人式全自動型の箱舟が 3A 分断本来の姿。
カジにとって人類という種の存続は大した問題ではなかった。保管計画の巻き添えで消えてしまう多様な生命体を自然のままこの世界に残すことが最重要だ。
Honestly, I'm with them.
生命の種を地球圏外に避難させる。その計画実現
I get that.
建造中だったこの船をネルフから強奪。人の力では保管計画の阻止は不可能と考えていたものね。でも最後は自らの命を捨ててサードを止めた。自己矛盾で自分勝手に死んだ超迷惑な男よ。
See, I don't know. That's cool and all, but it's almost like I wish that was highlighted and showcased more instead of just throwing it on here at the end and being like, oh, this is what we were doing, you know?
命を残す箱舟ではなく、命を救う戦闘艦として。
母親のセリフだ。実感あるわね。
Well, she is.
私にそんな資格。
But doesn't want right. But she is. Just sit at the top.
そしてアダムスの器の煮えとなる私有もなく純粋な魂だけで作られた汚れなき生命体アドバンスド綾波シリーズの再生。人が人を救済する人類補完計画。当世ゆえ個体を保てなかったようだ。自分と同じ喪失を経験させるのも息子のためか。怒り。
Same in what form, though? I can think of two different ones, and neither of them are on nearly the same level. Nah, we good. We good. Sure. Thrilled. But we're at a stage in our life where we can't show emotions. Wow.
その呪われた爆心地か。アダムスの器はすべて揃った。第13号機の再起動ももはや時間の問題だ。
But who do we throw in there, right? Or the one of the versions that we worked on though? I feel like Fuyutsuki's said that line so fucking many times throughout everything. We're going to war for the last time. Lock in, lads. And they'll be with me for the final time. Cool. That's fucking sick. What is she gonna do? Is she actually gonna participate or is she just gonna lose it? What is that? A rainbow. Years ago, brother. Yeah, you haven't introduced yourself for about 3.5 hours of footage so far. He also does not smell like LCL anymore. Did you think about it at least? In order to prevent that, we are going to war. Do I have faith? Yes. Do I think there's going to be problems that come up along the way that were not accounted for? Yes. We'll see. This is essentially the life's plan, you know? Everything that they've lived for, everything they've done has been for this moment. She's literally in the void. They got her in that sphere that they got in Vegas. She got the full 360 of it though. It's a heavy ass ship to stop. And there comes the unaccounted for things. It's gonna be crazy when they just start dropping ray clones out the sky and fucking suicide bombing here. Holy shit. The music's so funny to me, but it just works because it's like, they've done this so many times. Oh shit. Oh, I thought it was gonna be instant. Right, and took out the claws. Nice. Nothing strange. I love how he has like all the same lines always. You know how OP it would be if we had like a tiny ass like ship that only like 2 people could be in instead of this big ass thing? Nobody would be able to hit us. But I guess they're probably so advanced that they'd be able to hit. They'd be precise. Wow. We find it?
再起動前だ。13号機はまだ動けない。
接近中のエヴァ7シリーズを確認。数は
Such a sick design, though. I love that.
エヴァ両機射出準備。
了解。エヴァ両機射出準備。
射出。
Alright, team, it's time. Lock the fuck in. The heroes of the story. Look at these dudes! That's so cool, though. I love the faces for them, too. For the heads. I'm just spinning here. No, don't worry about me. Now you do the same and just hit him with it. Imagine trying to control yourself through this. Fucking insane. There's so much movement, dude. That's so fun, though. Holy fuck. Like a drill. They formed the wall. Ah, well. Teamwork. Yeah, try and get through this. Oh shit. We through, or at least we're close. And now shit gets interesting. These are like ninja versions. It's just the arms though. Non-stop, dude. This is an all-out attack. This is... To the void. Is that good enough for us? Is that all we need? I just feel like this isn't gonna work the way you think it is. Huh. So whatever we were about to do by coming in complete contact with that was gonna be so fucking dangerous that her own shield felt necessary to come up and block it. Which is kinda tough. It's always something nobody else is thinking of. Uh-oh. They didn't got what they wanted. They didn't got what they wanted. Right. Right. That was never gonna be theirs. It was always gonna be theirs. Holy shit. Yeah, that's just kinda going through us. Oh wow. Take off the patch. Unleash the patch. Oh my god. That's not what I was expecting to come out. It works so well with the colors. The concern that comes in here is you're going all out for something you're uncertain of why it's happening and what's happening. If this doesn't work, it's gonna be a disaster. Okay. Just fully embody it. Alright. And before roadblock. Yeah. Ah, fuck. Oh. Always goes according to his plans. I love the first instinct being like, fuck you. What the fuck? That's nuts. Just said, let me have that real quick. Yeah, about that. I don't. Yeah. She's gotta come through. That's so raw. Bro, just locked in. He's like, all right, let me just stay you down real quick. I love physical face-offs like this. He did good till now. She was able to shoot this stuff. It's insane. I don't know why, I just feel like that's not the case, though. Yeah, I just don't think you can do that to him. It's like, let me just pick that up. Yep. My hopes for everything. It's still there. Everyone, if we're being real. Oh, he's back. All part of the plan. One or the other. Okay, well, it doesn't concern him, so. Bear's like, we have everything on our side. Oh, that's how we bring Shinji back into it. Got it. It's no longer painting the town red. We've changed. things have gone and things have come and gone. It's over. That's all you can do at this point, dude. That's literally all you can do. There's a dude standing in the background who can probably do some shit. Do some heavy damage. let me in a robot. Alright, Mari.
そのためには碇玄道と戦うことになるわ。僕の落とし前をつけたい。
Handle that on my own. It's gonna be a little bit different of a conversation than we talked about him possibly having earlier. Not again. They did do that. They did exactly that. But yet you can't do it. Oh! Sorry, let me in the robot. Showing her care in that last moment.
現在も碇シンジは私桂木美里の管理下にあり、これからの彼の行動の責任を私が負うということです。私は今のシンジ君に全てを託してみた。父親に息子ができることは肩を叩くか殺してあげることだけよ。家事の受け売りだけど。美里さん。
An insane thing.
元気だった。さあ、よかった。すごくいいやつだった。ちょっとしか話してないけど、僕は好きだよ。ありがとう。
And you can see even just in the small little things that she says, you almost feel like her reasons are valid and that she does really care.
行ってきます。行ってらっしゃい。
And I like it as a way of like the moment that she loses the mask essentially here, she can kind of be open and free a little bit more to herself and true to maybe how she actually wants to feel and think as opposed to her status that she's trying to essentially live up to. The horseman.
君がやることはアンチエルシステムが全て止まってみんなが小分かしてしまう前に第13号機を破壊し起死回生を図るしか。
Alright. You tell me I don't gotta hold back? Okay.
大丈夫マリさん。行ってくるよ。
Said, I'm locked in now, you know?
姫の魂が残置されている可能性がある。だから姫を、アスカをお願い。
やってみるよ。綾波。
Complete difference in confidence. Night and day from start to end. Or midpoint, wherever we are.
絶対に待ってなよ、シンジ君。
ありがとう。待ってる。
To the void.
Good luck.
もういいのか、レイ。
綾波。
イカリ君。
What the fuck? This is crime on your own kind. Fitting, isn't it? I love when they like tell him to stop or something. He's like, brother, I have spent my entire fucking life doing this. You are not gonna convince me otherwise right now.
アディショナルのために2本の槍を最後まで温存したの。おそらくたった一つの願いのため。バカらしい。ただのエゴじゃん。
And as always, some things never change.
全ての始まり、約束の地。人の力ではどうにもならない。運命を変えることができる唯一の場所だ。
We relive through the moments. We look up and see him, we do.
マイナス宇宙を我々の感覚機能では認知できない。故に LCL が知覚可能な仮想の世界を形成している。おとなしく初号機を渡せ。そうすれば、お前も再び母に会える。
I'm good. I think I'm good, little bro. Back to the start. Run it back. Except this time, I was so cold of him just sitting up there. Are we really just gonna go through and relive all of them? Oh, that looked kind of funky. That did too. I was getting worked. To be fair, you did the last time too. Hold on. Location change. Fit big robots in small building. I honestly thought we were gonna revisit through all the like angel fight locations and stuff, but it's way cooler going to these like more impactful, important moments and places, and using those as our set pieces instead. Yep.
互いに同調し、調律をしている。これも私に必要な儀式だ。も
うやめてよ、父さん。
Really cool. Problem is when you're facing hope, it's never over. That's the problem. Even the village. The little town. Destruction of everything that you've grown close to. But then you can remember all those around you who gave you something regardless of what you've caused before, right? I just want to see my wife. Nothing we really do. Oh, alright. I actually have no fucking idea.
サンプルはさっきの発動データしかないのよ。リツコには十分でしょ。
It's a lot of hope. A lot of faith.
初号機パイロット、お前に見せたいものがある。
黒いリリス。
お前の記憶ではそう映るのか。エヴァンゲリオン・イマジナリーと等しく信じる生き物。人類だけが認知できる。
So how does that help us here?
互いにトリガーとニエとなり、虚構と現実が溶け合い、すべてが同一の情報を溶かす。
Gotcha.
これで自分の認識、すなわち世界を書き換えるアディショナルインパクトが始まる。
The way he stands there. It has risen. That's so weird. That's so creepy. Ah, the luscious hair. We dropped the mask. There she is. Isn't she so beautiful?
アディショナルインパクト。え
え、おそらくあれがエヴァイマジナリ。まさか実在するとはね。
Well, because it's, you know. But listen, I get it. Damn. All in the same. Faceless. Headless. So fucking much. It's a beautiful sight. Not that.
ようやく始まった希望という光が与えられている。だが希望という病にすがり、溺れるのも人の常だ。
That's very true.
光も希望という病にしがみつきすぎているな。
人類すべてを巻き添えにするのはごめん被りたいにゃ。
だろうな。
I guess we're good here.
この集めてある。あとは吉名にしたまえ。イスカリオーテのマリア君。
超久しぶりに聞いたな、その名前。
Okay.
おさらばです。
ユイ君。これでいいんだな。
The way they swing. The way they're all connected. A classic.
アダムスの器たるエヴァオプパータイプが勢ぞろい。
Whole fucking squad.
冬月先生、プラス9プラス10。
Oh, that fucking blinded me. And she's all alone.
その後速やかに体感して、ミサト、これは誰かが確実に発動させなければならない。
Also, not to be that guy. The leader themselves should at least stick behind if they're gonna fucking do this.
頼むわ、リツコ。分かってる、ミサト。ベストを尽くすわ。
Jeez. That was actually just so cool that came up out of there.
もうリリンが君らを使うこともない。ゆっくり眠りな、アダムスたち。
Rest of the atoms.
合流を急ぐかにゃ。しかし、人類のフィジカルとメンタル、両方の補完を同時に発動する。
貧富も差別も争いも虐待も苦痛も悲しみもない。浄化された魂だけの。
Yeah, your world fucking sucks, buddy. Yeah, but at the same time, if you guys become something like that, it's not really Yui anymore, you know?
もうやめようよ。
Revving himself to this point.
父さんのことが知りたいか
I
ら。
love how we're in his now.
寂しくてもいつもと
So maybe we can learn all about you and
はっきりするのが怖かったんだ。でも今は知りたい。父さんのこと。
I'm gonna face it head on this time, no more running.
人を捨てたこの私にまさか信じを恐れているのか、この私が。
これは捨てるんじゃなくて渡すものだったんだね。父さん、僕と同じだったんだ。
ああ、そうだ。ヘッドホンが外界と私を断ち切ってくれる。無関心を装い、他人のノイズから私を守ってくれた。
Yes, sir.
だが、ユイと出会い、私には必要がなくなった。
Somebody allowed you to feel like you had a place to be. Allowed you to think it's okay.
どっちに合わせていいのかわからない。
That's the fun in it. You're supposed to figure it out and decide on your own.
気持ちが違うだけだ。
Not just follow everything else.
つながりを恐れた。人で溢れる世界を嫌った。幼い頃から孤独が日常だった。だから寂しいと感じ、押し付けられるのが嫌だった。
Mm-hmm.
他人といるのが苦痛だった。私は常に一人でいたかったのだ。子供の頃から好きなものが2つあった。1つは知識だ。一方的に得るだけの知識は私の心の上を満たしてくれた。知識に気遣いは不要だ。時間のある限り私の中に好きなだけ与え。
Yeah, but with knowledge doesn't necessarily come that, because a lot of the things you do have to understand through others. So I don't know about all that, but alright. I no longer wanted that. Yeah. A whole new world. So we create something where we can all live together. And you could be again with her, but...
そばにいることで自分を変えたかった。ただその願いを叶えた。
その弱さを認めないからだと思うよ。ずっと分かっていたんだろう、父さん。
I still love how they literally look identical. They had to throw the glasses on, so you could definitely tell he was talking to him and not Shinji talking to himself. Oh no, we can just make our own. Nah, that works. And we coined our own name. To the eye. Oh. That's beautiful.
ごめんね、領地。
Wow. But he hasn't been able to. Doesn't know how to connect. That's a start. With him all along. Clocking in. Oh, that's tough. See one on the bottom, she used the other person to protect herself, to guard herself.
エヴァに乗れれば関係ない。他に私の価値なんてないもの。私を認めて、私に居場所を与えて。本当は寂しい。本当はただ頭を撫でて欲しかっただけ。
I love her being small like that doll here.
いいんだ。アスカはアスカだ。それだけで十分さ。
You accepted the okay reality.
また会えて。これだけは伝えておきたかったんだ。
The rejection of it all.
僕を好きだと言ってくれて。僕もアスカが好きだったよ。父さんと似てるんだ。だから同じエヴァに乗っていたんだね。
なんだかいつもと違うね、シンジ君。泣かないのかい？
Something changed a little bit. Can't put my finger on it, but.
僕が泣いても他の誰も救えない。
Sure, but that doesn't matter. It's alright too, though.
君はもう成長してたんだった。少し寂しいけど、それもいいね。
カオル君。
This news okay.
君のエヴァも処分しようと思う。
うん。エヴァを捨てるか。
仲良くなるおまじないだよ。
相補性のある世界を望む。変わらないな、シンジ君は。
だからこそあなたが彼を選び、生命の書に名を書き連ね
た。ありがとう。りょうちゃんにも救われたよ。
光栄です。渚氏、老後は畑仕事でもどうです？
そうだね。それもいいね。
いるのは君だけだ。綾波。
私はここでいい。
もう一人の君はここじゃない居場所を見つけた。アスカも戻ったら新しい居場所に気づくと思う。
エヴァに乗らない幸せ。
What kind of life is love? Yeah, but for me.
だからここじゃない君の生き方もある。
Yeah.
エヴァがなくてもいい世界に書き換えるだけだ。新しい人が生きていける世界に。
People can be happy.
ネオンジェネシス。
それに後でマリさんが迎えに来る。
She did say that.
わかった。イカリ君。 とう。
ジェネシス。
To the new world. Push him out so she takes it instead. Gotcha.
この時のためにずっと僕の中にいたんだね、母さん。
They're both though, right? Get rid of it all, or rid the world of it all. The way they use the face was fucking insane, dude. I can't help but laugh every time I see it. It just looks so goofy.
すべてのエヴァンゲリオン。
Oh, it brings some color in. Aim for you, brother.
マリさん。
ありがとう。8プラス9プラス10プラス11プラス
The whole squad.
最後のエヴァンゲリオン。
We're free. Just like the first
お
meeting.
待たせ。シンジ君。
They're all here in different versions.
誰だ。
胸の大きいいい女。
ご名答。相変わらずいい匂い。大人の香りってやつ。
君こそ相変わらず可愛いよ。
ほうほう。
How different.
一発の
Yeah. I was wondering where you were gonna move that.
さあ、行こう。シン
But now there's literally nothing to hold it back.
うん行こう。
I decided to take some time afterwards. And by some time, I mean I went to sleep and then I woke up and I was like, all right, let's talk about it. I wanted to sleep on it, you know? And just to think, because I'll be fully transparent, coming out of the ending here, if I sat down and talked, one, it would have been incredibly short, which I still plan for this to not be overly in-depth or long or anything. But two, I think would have been largely negative. And I didn't want to, I guess, unfairly do that based on just me being entirely drained, because it takes a lot out of me to sit here and try and react and do all this stuff for 2.5 hours, and then try and piece everything together and piece my thoughts like cohesively kind of together here. So I was like, yeah, let's take a break. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. And we'll come back and we'll talk about it. And I don't know if we're going to go crazy into it. I still don't know. I guess we'll just see where this takes us. And I'll just yap a little bit and we'll see. But I wanted to give it a little bit more time where I just kind of thought about some things. I reflected on some stuff. Rewatched one or two of the scenes that I was curious or had some thoughts on or questions and things about, just to maybe get further clarification on things and maybe see if I feel or see it a different way or entirely the same, and just skim through and looked at a couple things just to remember a little bit of the way that I felt things kind of flowed and stuff. And try and have a little bit more of a clearer picture of it, maybe not as tainted by I didn't understand fully everything that was going on in the moment because I was so like in the moment. Also due to me being partially tired while watching, also due to it being extremely, you know, long in general and needing to like get up and walk around and take a break afterwards. Anyways, I figured this would give me a better chance to see things a little bit more broadly and then frame things a little bit here in a direction that I think can kind of put things maybe a little bit nicer together, and not entirely be just like immediate, maybe negative thoughts and things that can kind of come off of it. I will say, before we even get into that, and I would like to start with positives and things that I feel about it, because I feel like typically my first instinct is to go to the negatives and things I didn't like so much, and then transition into the positives, whereas I feel like maybe we should talk about the good first. But I will say before that, I didn't really love it entirely. And that was a constant theme throughout the rebuilds. A lot of them had the exact same reasons or very similar reasons as to why I don't love them. And a thought that started coming more into my mind was movie 3 was interesting to me because of the change of what we were doing, but my biggest criticism with it was the change in what we were doing. The time skip, the narrative decisions that we were kind of making, a bunch of things that I didn't love about it. And kind of a lot of that rode more so on how we plan to direct the story going into this movie. Now, I think with the direction that we possibly went into with that, they did damn near as good of a job as I think they could have done based on the direction that we kind of brought ourselves into. So that's a good thing, but if anything, it just highlights more so the reasons why, like, I'm, as you know, the days have gone by, because it's been a little over a week since I watched 3. It just starts highlighting more of the reasons I didn't like it, and it starts really making me dislike it more and more than when I initially watched it, which isn't the most ideal thing, I guess, to happen. So, like I said, it did what it could, I think, based on what it was kind of given, or based on the direction that they put themselves in, by trying to bring the story this way. But at the same time, because of the decisions made by speeding through the second one, because of the decisions made to advance us and do certain things in the third one, it allowed the fourth one to kind of just only be limited to what it ended up becoming. And there still definitely were ways that I think they could have made it better. There were ways that definitely could have made it worse, and I think they did a good job on. But I think they did a decent enough job with kind of the position and everything that they were in. But due to my disliking of it entirely, and due to me viewing this overall as a series and maybe not as much as just a standalone movie, and while it still is something I'll try and objectively look at as a standalone movie, it has things about it I don't love either direction, I guess, either through no matter what lens you look at it. But we will start off, and I will say some positives and things I loved about it. I think, first one, Gendo is the best character in the rebuild movies. I think Gendo is the most improved from the original series, who needed the most attention, who I had complaints about even towards the end of it with him. And I think overall he is the best. I have issues and stuff with a bunch of the other characters, underdeveloped on certain fronts, which we'll talk to when we get to that segment a little bit later. But I think out of every single character, I think overall he is the best one and my favorite one throughout this. And I have issues and complaints and things about him, which we will talk about later. But it's more so just the direction that we turn him into for a villain, and allowing him to almost fully commit what it feels like into this, throughout the entirety of it, bringing things, to climax at the moments that they do, bringing us to actually even be in the scenario and situation that we're in, having this dude who literally just goes full fucking God mode and he does not care. And I think that was just a very great decision, a little bit more than, like, a lot better than what I think we had out of him in the original. So I really do appreciate and love what they did with his character throughout this. Do I wish maybe there was a little bit more highlight, a little bit more focus and things on him at earlier points, even though they did give us plenty of that here, but maybe some things of understanding a little bit more and us being able to see where he's going rather than kind of bunching so much of it together towards the last maybe hour or so of this. Absolutely. But at the same time, that's not the worst thing. That's typically how a lot of villains and things get written throughout most movies and series. They just kind of bunch a lot of things about them to make you, like, kind of understand their point of view and where they're really coming from, like, right as they're almost facing death in a way. So having him in a similar spot, I guess, doesn't really bug me too much, but I think his character was really excellent, and I really, really loved it. Quality-wise, I thought it was fucking fantastic. I thought nearly everything about it was really excellent, especially the whole village sequence everything was beautiful for us to see. I thought a lot of the character designs and the things that I had Like I had a lot of issues with like maybe facial reactions and like a bunch of the things that they were kind of doing within the third movie. I felt were a little off at moments, whereas I feel like here everything kind of was nailed and done extremely excellent, which I really enjoyed. A lot of the fighting I thought was still really good regardless of it being 3D. I thought a lot of it was extremely excellent, extremely interesting to visually see. Some of it had a lot of problems, which I will get to again later, but for the most part I thought really a lot of it was fun to watch. I thought a lot of it was extremely dynamic with what they were doing with so much of the camera movement, and I don't know, I thought it was really cool. Another thing, the entire hour or so that we get in the village is probably the best thing that we get out of the rebuild. Arguably one of the best sequences in its entirety that we get out of Evangelion as a whole. It's really excellent. It really is. And I really love just so much about it, with us being able to see characters kind of coming to terms with a lot of things, specifically Ray, but us being able to see the rebuild that actually occurs, us being able to see a lot of these people who you feel as though have kind of lost everything, and they're still working together and still making the most of their situation, regardless of the hell that they've kind of been put through in the scenario that they find themselves in, still continuing to push onward. Even just the little line and moment that we get where they talk about really questioning what work even is, when Ray kind of asked the question and them not really knowing like the best response for it, you know, and not really ever really looking at it on the outside so much as to what it is. And it's just kind of the duty and the thing that they kind of put upon themselves, but they still are enjoying themselves day in and day out, making the most of their lives. We see with even the class rep at multiple points brings up things about how she's just trying to live her best life. She'll never actually be this age again. She'll never be, you know, who she is at this current point in time ever again either. And being able to make everything up as she can go, you know, just make the most out of her own self, make the most out of her life. And they're just kind of trying to really live in very peace here. And I think it's a really excellent showing of so much. Visually was just stunning throughout the entirety of it, and it made for us to really be interested in bring a lot of these older characters back together, see development and growth on somebody on even Ray's part, a character that I feel, you know, definitely could have utilized a lot more of like their own awareness or self like things, trying to figure out stuff on their own throughout the entirety of this. The entirety of Evangelion, even in general, always having like these questions, but never really being put in scenarios where they're actually figuring out things for their own on these own day-to-day lives, and trying to live and being told almost by others and stuff that they can actually become their own person. I think was really excellent. And even Shinji, you know, retreating so much, not wanting to be a part of anything, not wanting to do anything due to what he's put everybody else kind of through over these years, due to what happened when he caused the second impact, or the third impact, makes plenty of sense, you know, why he would retreat, why he would become, and just the way that the people of the village kind of treat him, Toji and Sosuke for that matter, and the way that they just kind of let him kind of have his breathing room, let him just like take his time, figure that things will just kind of come about at some point. He'll come around to it. He just needs time to kind of like really reflect, really think on things, gives him his space, still lets him know that there's still plenty of things for him within this world, that he can continue to move forward no matter what, reflecting a little bit on kind of the words that we heard from Nagisa last movie, them letting him know, you know, you can't rewrite or anything that happened really within the past, which clearly we get to see we can, but still, I think it's a cool perspective for us to be able to see, and him kind of have to be almost stuck there and reflect on. And they do a great job by having a lot of these great set pieces for us to kind of be in, showcasing the trauma and the buildup of all this stuff every time that he sees like the collar or anything, and just the way that he ends up feeling at those moments, immediately throwing up, the others recognizing these early trauma responses to the things that he has, like so much of the things that have kind of been built up even since the original series, and things regarding Shinji that everybody else around him seems to not really be able to grasp onto, and then they immediately like call out to him or call him names for the situation that he's kind of in, not actually like acting on any of these things. Now we finally see people who can kind of be grown and put this more into perspective of like who exactly he is, what he's been through, why he's acting out or feeling the exact way that he is, and actually understanding him a lot better and a lot more, which I think was definitely necessary. And I really do love to actually see that, because it seems like almost nobody, no matter their age or anything within the main series, was actually fully being able to grasp what he was kind of going through. Well, we're able to see a variety of people here actually be able to pick up on something along those lines. Plus, just the general idea of, you know, no matter the situation or anything that you're in, you still have a life that is definitely worth living, as long as you kind of go out of your way to make the most of it, and move forward and do whatever you can here to ultimately rebuild, which is essentially what the series or the rebuild movies themselves are trying to kind of put us through, as we rebuild the story, but also we kind of rebuild a world, essentially. I thought the moments between Gendo and Shinji were really excellent too, of them kind of talking, them reflecting, us being able to get into the mind a little bit of Gendo, us being able to see and understand a little bit more about him. Well, a lot of it I feel was kind of known already, whether it's because it was explained before or it just kind of made sense. So nothing not too much I think really came out of that I was like, oh, this is like some brand new things or like something really insane or different. It still was a very necessary moment. I love the confidence and stuff that we were able to build up on Shinji, up to the point that he was able to go in and have this conversation and actually face to face meet, and us going through the memories and us being able to witness and see all these things and kind of put that, you know, into perspective. Shinji being able to fully kind of understand and comprehend a lot of what his father's kind of done or been through or thought up to this point, and reasons for why he's going out of his way and, you know, doing everything in his power to reconnect him with what he has lost and what he felt was kind of just even his whole purpose in existence, I think was awesome, and was definitely more extended, more well done than say even the main series or anything kind of was. Definitely done in a different fashion and everything too, but I think it was really necessary, and I'm very happy that we were able to expand upon each of them in that matter, and actually give them this opportunity to kind of work things out and show a little bit of highlight to it as they ended up going through. And immediately off the top of my head, I think that's about it for things that I really liked. And basically about almost everything else within it, I felt either just indifferent towards or didn't like it in the slightest. A lot of issues come down to, I guess, just like I said, what happened with the direction of us time skipping, us going through with what we did in movie 3, which leads us into the scenario and everything that we find ourselves, unfortunately, in for this movie. The first thing, I guess, is overall pacing of it. While I don't necessarily have an issue with it, it just was one of those where the village sequence was so excellent to me, because it finally did something that I've been asking for 3 movies now, which is slow things down and really develop and really expand the characters, which they started to kind of do in the 3rd movie a little bit, not much. And I thought it was really necessary and really excellent that they actually did that here. And then we kind of go from here's slow sequence to here's large action sequence and stuff that I didn't really care for and visually felt like they were doing a little too much, to then let's transition you and rapidly drop a lot of information and things kind of on you towards the back end. So it just felt like we had solid pacing at one point and then we just kind of lost it in the process. You know, I never even felt like the village sequence or anything went too slow, so I can't even make the complaint or say, you know, things are too slow and then they picked up and went too fast or something and they struggled to find a balance. It was more of, I thought going from intro sequence that we had within Paris and everything was really fine, and then transitioning us into like the slower city or village stuff was really excellent too. So the dynamic that the pacings of each of them kind of worked out was good, but then just the way that we extended certain sequences and jammed other ones together towards the back half of it, I just felt was a little off-putting and not really, I guess, up to my standards or up to just my own desires of what I kind of would like, which was a little unfortunate. I touched on it a little bit before, but the overall the fighting sequences and stuff, there are some that are extremely excellent, and overall just for the animation and everything looks great, but then there's some where it looks really fucking goofy. There's some where it looks really bad. The Gendo and Shinji fighting I thought was just not very good or entertaining at all, especially the first sequence where we take it back to the first angel battle that we had. I thought looked really bad, and I just couldn't help but laugh kind of when it came up, and I think I even made comments within the actual video where I was like, it kind of looked goofy, and it really did. Every single time that the big giant ray head popped up, it looked terrible. I just don't understand what they were going for with the whole 3D thing. It didn't come off creepy or like this like larger than life kind of feeling at all. It more so just came off goofy, and it looked stupid. It just didn't work. It didn't do anything that was good, and maybe I'm missing the entire purpose or point on that, but I didn't really feel for that. That did nothing really for me, and I don't know, I didn't like that. Surprise, surprise, the complaint that I've had for the entirety of this, I thought literally almost every character was underwritten, underdeveloped throughout this whole thing, and 99% of it largely relies on you to recall and remember what we built up for them through the actual main series itself, which doesn't even work here. It does not work here because we've diverged so much from the main plotline. So how am I supposed to relate and connect these characters who are so utterly different? It's extremely hard to do so. We slowly started getting some stuff with Rey, but then we just kind of eliminate her entirely. We slowly started getting some stuff with Asuka through the second movie, and then they almost reverted her character what felt like entirely once we did time skip, and we get that almost entirely again here, which was not very welcomed or loved on my part. We don't develop Mari in the slightest. I don't even know if I want to get started on complaining about her as a character, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not alone. There's zero chance I'm alone in this, right? With my unenjoyment of her as a character. Well, let me take that back and let me rephrase that a little bit too. I honestly enjoyed most of the time when she was on screen. I really did. I thought she was fun, such a change, very different from so many of the characters, but I had zero fucking reason to care about her. We didn't develop her. We didn't do proper introduction or anything kind of regarding her. There was no reason for me to latch on. There was no reason for me to care for her. There's nothing that I could really get into and understand for her as a person or a character. And then here we are for 3 movies in a row in some of the largest, most impactful sequences that we are supposed to have. She is one of the center points almost in it. She's in some of these moments, and I have no reason to fucking care for her being there, which is really unfortunate. We eliminate everybody else. We even go through and get rid of Asuka at a certain point, and then I'm just supposed to care and be happy that somebody like Mari's here to come in and find and save Shinji by the end and do everything that she was doing, leading towards the back end of this. There's nothing there. Like, there's nothing for me to latch on to and grab. She literally is just here to be here, is almost how I feel. And I felt that for many movies now. So her inclusion just doesn't really add or make me happy in the slightest, because there's nothing there for me. I just don't get it. I don't know. I really don't get it. And at the end of the day, she ends up just being there to be there for Shinji, which is like cool and all, but it'd be cool if I had a reason to fucking care about that, but I don't, because I just don't. I don't know. I just don't. And then on top of, if we really want to go into it, all of a sudden her having, connections to Fuyutsuki, who clearly, apparently she had some sort of connections to Gendo and clearly some connections to Yui, that means, which is what that little sequence, I believe, that they were trying to hint towards ended up being. So this is the grown-ass woman that means, and Shinji is still, I'm assuming, also based on what they said with or what we've seen, where it seems like Asuka and everybody, how they've said that they've grown, but nothing about them has kind of changed due to their curse and stuff of being a pilot. I've never was actually able to fully get clarification, I think, on was Shinji himself also this 20-something-year-old version mentally, even though he was like kind of just frozen or asleep for years and years on end here, or was he still just kind of stuck as like this 14-15-year-old version of himself, while everybody else mentally was able to progress and get up to a higher level, but still stuck maybe physically in the forms that they were in? Because if that's the case, then you're essentially, she's sitting here preying on a 14-year-old boy the whole time, and then by the time we get future flashback sequence, she ends up being like 15 years older than him anyways there too, and it's just actually a lot more than that. Let me take that back. She ends up being like 40 something is kind of how that should end up being. So yeah, that's kind of a problem almost, I feel like, and I don't know how to feel necessarily about her inclusion overall. I really don't. I don't have any issues with the overall ending of her kind of being with him. I guess. Well, I do, just because of the weird like age stuff and him growing up and her being around there for all that time. It's more of, I think it's better to eliminate Asuka and like say Rey and stuff from that, because then one, you just incite more wars based on everybody else. And two, I don't know. I don't feel like that's so necessary for them to be a part of that. And I think it's nice to see like almost this growth and step that he can kind of take forward into this new reality that he's a part of, and find these other people, find somebody else similar like Mari, that he doesn't have that sort of strong connection or anything with, like he did with the others, and all that time and stuff spent together with them, so he has no like real crazy history like that together. I think is almost better as like a way of stepping forward and starting a new journey and starting this new life almost. But yeah, I literally can't latch on to or understand her reasons and inclusion and stuff in the slightest. It does nothing, I think, for the story itself or anything. Other thing, it just kind of, the whole large ending sequence just almost boils down to a bunch of like, to me. I don't know. It doesn't do anything. Let's just randomly put these spheres and stuff together, and then through whatever we can create this fantasy imagination world, and then we're balancing reality and fantasy and stuff together, and then Shinji can make his own desires and stuff through his connection with the Zeva together to kind of rewrite things and put himself into a world essentially similar to ours, a world that overwrites things without Evas or anything kind of for it. And then it's like, well, yeah, I guess, I don't know. And he gets like this big old spinning spear and stuff that looks kind of goofy, that gives him all the power. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't feel too great to me. It feels like we're giving this person who in this movie particularly was like, not this movie, but this Rebuild series essentially was awful, like entirely awful. Like in the main series, he was just like dude who kept getting fucking shit on and put down for things that he didn't really do or didn't actually have a reason for that to almost happen, outside of like simple things because he was literally a child at the time, versus here he literally caused like the destruction of so many people and loss of lives and stuff, and then we just kind of gifted him with the ability to rewrite things and allow him just to live a normal life outside of that now. It just seems like he was being rewarded for the stuff he did as opposed to working his own way through it, which is a big issue I have actually throughout this entire thing, is I don't feel the growth or development and stuff that I felt we had for him throughout the actual main series. Him as a character takes a huge hit, I think, throughout all of these rebuilds, like especially this one too here. Even his big moments where he comes forward and gains that confidence and is able to go forward and talk to Gendo and do everything comes off a little bit more dull than I think like the actual sequences we get to see where he's like working himself through either through instrumentality or through everything that occurred through End of Eva. I felt that strong impact for everything that we've seen him built up and go, the highs and lows and stuff throughout his life. Being able to slowly be able to put all of this stuff into perspective and find a place for him to kind of belong and acceptance of all of that, versus what we end up having here, where it doesn't seem like he's just kind of like accepting and moving forward within our own life or anything with it. And it almost seems like we're just going to rewrite in the entire world and everything, allow us to have like this clean, fresh start, and is not having to worry about or keep any of that stuff in our lives at all. It just feels like a weird reward almost for the things that he went through, where he didn't maybe do so much up to this point. And maybe my perspective and stuff on that can kind of change and be altered if once I rewatch and go through and edit and all of this, and comprehend things a little bit better. But it just didn't, I don't know, I just don't maybe love so much what they did with his character throughout the entirety of it. But yeah, I mean, we have all of that. It's basically, we have like these imaginary shit that he's able to kind of put together, then bringing out like the imaginary like unreality, I believe is what they were calling it, right? And all of that, it just felt, I don't know, I didn't like it. I didn't like that stuff. Also, just now we have like these multiple like loops almost, or multiple dimensions or timelines and stuff that we're kind of going between, where a whole bunch of this stuff is happening before, and then we're just kind of creating like this canon universe for what the actual main series and everything was, where Shinji shares like these memories and stuff that kind of comes from that as well, through the endless cycle and stuff that we get to see with Nagisa kind of going through, which is like, I don't know about all of that. These are things too, like I'm saying this, and if you have complaints, you know, with my understandings and stuff, I fully get that. It's more of just my initial feelings kind of coming off of this, and maybe all of that kind of gets developed and swayed through things that you guys kind of say, or I kind of pick up on as I rewatch and stuff. But it's just the initial impressions and stuff I get. I just feel like a lot of this, could and should have been done so different than almost it was, and it almost leaves me feeling more fantastical with the way that we're doing it through more imaginary kind of sequences than kind of working through our own problems and stuff almost in the real world itself to create like ideal solutions and endings and stuff that we kind of come to. And it's also like just the issue on almost, it feels like Shinji's reliance, it feels like, to create this universe and everything and like this sense of belonging and place for him and others to kind of be, by understanding that he's going to have like these other people with him almost when he goes to these places and creating that place for them, as opposed to just like finding that acceptance in himself, being who he is and being in the position that he is and being, you know, maybe even alone if it ends up coming to it. Instead, that I don't maybe get that strong sense of feeling at all. I don't know. I think a bunch of the other characters too, like the Willy characters, Masato and Ritsuko, and just any of the other like little ones that kind of get involved there, are so underutilized, so underdeveloped throughout the entirety of this. It just like, they didn't feel impactful in the slightest. Well, they had like these big climactic moments and stuff, there's no real development or anything on it. And then like they make note of like Masato and her feelings towards being like a mother and the situation that she ended up being in through the loss of Kaji and stuff. And it's like what Kaji's dreams were and what he kind of handed down and gifted to her and gave her the opportunity to kind of do, and why everybody else put so much faith and trust in her through the things that he kind of assembled and put us in, which is like fucking cool, dude. I thought that was great. But the problem is we didn't get to fucking see any of it outside of the short little flashback that we get to see where he's kind of just walking off and she's breaking down. And it's just like, I don't know. I would have rather see the impacts of the third impact. I would have rather watched the aftermath of that and not skipped years and years on end and then let things kind of become what they were. And even on the other end with like Nerve, it's like the entire facility and everything was being operated and run by what, 2 people, 3 people, I guess, if you want to include the Rays. Like, it just doesn't, what does that do? I don't know. There's the scale of it just fell off entirely. And even from the last movie was a big question mark that I kind of had, is the connection that all of that stuff has. I don't know. It just didn't do much for me. I felt like needed a lot more focus and a lot more to be almost touched on. And it just comes through, I guess, like the pacing and trying to jam pack all of this stuff into these movies. But then the problem with that becomes we get like an hour and a half of 2.5 hours of this film is literally action and fighting, as opposed to just kind of staying a little bit more still and dialogue and stuff between people, where we could really use to flesh out a lot of the stuff and then have like these more impactful moments that we get that they don't hit or do anything, which is a big issue I also had, is the lack of tension and everything it felt like we had. I never was like wondering like, oh fuck, or feeling like extremely sad. Like even when Masato got shot, like I didn't care. It didn't do anything for me. Even when Asuka was going through this stuff, like it didn't do anything for me. Even when like Rei died, it like didn't do anything for me. You know what I mean? Like we didn't, I don't know. It just, a lot of those build-up moments fell kind of flat for what they were too, and I didn't really feel them. Even the big moments and my positives and stuff I have to say towards Gendo, which I really liked, his big like revelations and moments he was kind of going through felt really dull to me. I don't know if it was his voice actor, or I don't know if it was the way that they animated him during the sequences or what it was, but I never felt the passion. I never felt that emotion. I never like bought into or felt the believability on the way that he was kind of portraying himself throughout those sequences. Like they just didn't do anything to me, which was a big thing in those moments. Something else that I'm actually just remembering now too is the just bringing in a bunch of shit that like had no mention in the slightest up to this point. Whether it was changing terminologies for things that we're kind of grown accustomed to, in the way that we are referring to things or referring to people that got entirely altered throughout this, whether it was implementing things such as like Asuka essentially being cloned versions and stuff, whether it was implementing these new characters or a bunch of these random fucking things that Gendo was talking about and bringing up that I still right now have zero clue what like half of them even meant that he was like operating with. Like a lot of it just made no sense. It felt like we were just kind of throwing shit up there and throwing it out there, which is essentially what we ended up getting when we ended up creating this unreality and everything. I don't know, a lot of it just, it felt like just at random. Like, it just felt like we were throwing a bunch of terms and phrases and things into the mix for the hell of it at a certain point that almost felt like they weren't holding any weight, that almost felt like they had nothing that was really built up upon them, and we did a lot of it within like 30 minutes towards the back end, which it was just like, I don't know, dude. I don't want to keep ranting because then I just come off sounding like I'm extremely negative, but it's more so me just trying to talk myself through this and tell you the things I liked or didn't like about it. And initially off of like first impressions here, that's kind of the way that I'm feeling right now. Overall, like I said, didn't really love it. For that matter, that any of the rebuilds really was not the biggest fan of. It's not something I would sit here and say I regret watching, but it's more of something where I almost wish it just wasn't recorded and I didn't go through it this process, because then I had to go through and waste so much time of like re-editing things that I wasn't enjoying the most part, like for the most part watching anyways. Whereas like that's like kind of the good and bad that comes along with doing a lot of these videos, is when I'm not enjoying an episode or I'm not enjoying a series or something, it comes out to I have to go back through and basically rewatch it and do all of that I'm not enjoying. So that stuff's going to be fucking awful. I'm going to dread going back and doing it, right? So especially having to do these long films as well is never the greatest idea, especially when you're not loving them. But I won't let that entirely distract me from, you know, what I love so much about the main series itself. And at the same time, it's one of those, I'll choose to remember the series for actual TV series and End of Evangelion as opposed to what they attempted to do here with the rebuilds. And that's just kind of how I'll look at it. If I ever tell people and, you know, to go ahead and watch things, I probably won't necessarily recommend watching these either. I don't know. I don't think it was for me. And if anybody who really loved it and really latched on and was the biggest fan of the series and thought that these were like great and conclusions and stuff that you really wanted and everything, I'm happy for you. And I hope that you found that. And I hope that maybe you even explain as to what it was that you love so much about it. But there just was so much, I would say, throughout the four that I just was not particularly a fan of, with the first one essentially just being a recap with like maybe one or two things reordered or slightly changed that I also just felt was kind of boring and I wasn't interested in rewatching it, to the second one, which was like way better than that, but at the same time actually it had a lot more positives, I would say, but at the same time wasn't too intrigued by a lot of it, to the third one that really did intrigue me because of the direction that we were going, but I didn't love the direction we were going. It was more so just everything was so brand new and fresh that it left me a little bit more entertained and interested, but then revealed so many more of its flaws and things that I necessarily was already skeptical of going into this movie because of how they ended up handling this. So a lot of that gets highlighted so much more with the decisions and stuff that they tried to take there. Overall, I'd probably rate the movies, I think this rebuild 2, 4, 3, then 1 would probably be the order in which I kind of enjoyed them. And I don't think there's particularly too big of a gap between each of them. I mean, 1 definitely I think would be a lot lower, but not really that crazy about any of them. But yeah, hopefully you guys were, at least. And hopefully you enjoyed the reactions a bit. Hopefully you understand a little bit of where I'm coming from. And while I don't think I put into words or anything the best of my abilities, I just tried to lay out at least surface level enough of the things that I was liking or not, maybe so you can at least kind of understand a bit of where I'm coming from and what my dissatisfactions with certain things kind of ended up being. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it all, like and subscribe to me lots, and feel free to check out the videos in the channel. We're starting Serial Experiments Lane after this, so that'll be out a couple days after this one goes up. Yeah, hopefully you guys can look forward to that. If not, hopefully I see you in another video, and hopefully you stick around. Thanks for joining through the Evangelion journey all the way up here to the end. I had a blast for about 85% until we get to the end, which was still like not the worst thing in the world, but it was okay. Yeah, thank you once again for all the support and everything up to that point. I hope you guys have a great one. Peace.